Hi everyone and welcome to Back in Time Fiction. Today is going to be a fairly quick video and will serve as a pronunciation guide accompanying the release of my book Undead Samurai. So if you want to read this book and you are not sure how to pronounce, how to read some terms and some names and some places names, here we go. So there is a glossary, page like 3 or 4, of some of the terms that you will find in this book. Most of them you will see them, you will read them once or twice and that's it. The first one is a daisho. Daisho is a pair of swords worn by samurai, usually consisting of a katana and a shorter wakizashi. Next is a fundoshi. That's basically a Japanese garment. Very often the back would be twisted so that it would have this kind of a thong look. Next is geta. Those are Japanese sandals elevated on 1, 2 or 3 teeth. So you know that's a very typical Japanese kind of sandals, shoes that you can see in many manga or anime or movies, etc. Next is hakama. Hakama are loose pleated trousers, so we see them a lot in martial arts. I think in the past you had hakama that were not pleated but more like baggy style. Next is jite. So jite is a hooked weapon used by the police during the Edo period. So it's really a symbol of the Japanese police force, the ancient Japanese police force. Kabuki. So kabuki is a form of Japanese theater. It shouldn't be confused with the no, which is a very different kind of theater. Next is kaede. That's a Japanese maple tree. So it's quite typical of the Japanese momiji season, when people go in parks and mountains to admire all those orange-red trees. Next we have a kanji. So a kanji is a Japanese system of writing based on Chinese characters. So in Japan you have three kinds of writing system: the kanji with thousands of characters, the hiragana and the katakana, which are much smaller. Next is the kashira. So this is the cap at the end of the katana's handle. Then we have the word kenjutsu, term designating the ensemble of Japanese martial arts involving blades, armor, horse riding and firearms. So kenjutsu, that's basically any fighting style that involves some weapons or some tools, you might say. Next word, kotsuzumi. So the kotsuzumi is an hourglass shaped hand drum. So you have two drums of the same kind, the kotsuzumi and the otsuzumi. There is a difference. I'm not sure it matters really here, but basically that's a drum that has to be carried on the shoulder using the red cords and then being hit like this with the right hand. Quite important, this word in this book. Kusarigama. So this is a weapon made of a short sickle connected to a chain ending with an iron weight. So that weapon is usually associated with ninja. I think one of the most famous figure who used it would be Shishido Baiken. I don't think he was a ninja, but he was a samurai at the time of Miyamoto Musashi, and Musashi killed him in a duel. Baiken might not actually have been his real name. Next word, one word that we see quite a lot in Undead Samurai, kyonshi. So a kyonshi is a type of reanimated corpse based on Chinese culture. So in Chinese culture it's called a jiangshe, and I think it means a hopping vampire. So it's basically a hopping vampire, so it's a reanimated corpse that goes, that moves away. In this book I use kyonshi as a term to replace zombie, which doesn't sound very Japanese or Asian. Kyudo. Kyudo is the Japanese art of archery. Mizugumo. Those are devices used by shinobi for crossing the water. So it could have been sandals, like kind of flat sandals with a balloon of air under, or some kind of belts. Not really sure, but Mizugumo is a tool for ninja to cross water faster. Naginata is a pole arm with a curved single-edged blade. Usually this is more of a symbol for female warriors. Next is odachi or nodachi. It is basically a katana but a bit longer. Next word, onnamusha. a female warrior. So you have two kinds of female warrior in Japanese history, the onamusha, who, if I'm correct, would be the units of female warriors sent to attack, and then the onabugeisha, who were more in charge of defending a castle. A saya is a sheath, a shinobi is another word for ninja, so there is a small difference in the meaning of the word, but basically it means the same thing, shinobi, ninja. Shitagi. So shitagi is a shirt worn by members of the samurai class. Now nowadays shitagi is anything that you wear under a shirt. The shogun, this is the military leader of Japan and the de facto ruler of the nation. So at the time of this book, so early 17th century, the real power in Japan was in the hands of the shogun, not with the emperor, who acted more as a puppet. Sohei, this is a Buddhist warrior monk. Tanto, a single-edged dagger worn by samurai. Tanto would be the kind of knives they would use to commit seppuku, for example. A tengu is a legendary, often dangerous creature, usually depicted with wings, a red face, and a long nose. Next word is teppo. This is an arquebus, so a matchlock gun. I think they had different names throughout Japan history. Teppo is the one that I like because it's quite short and impactful. I think to be more accurate, I should have called them Tanegashima, based on the name from where they were imported inside Japan. But Tanegashima sounds a bit long, whereas Teppo is pretty cool. So anyway, it's a matchlock gun. Tsuba is the handguard of the katana. Wakizashi, I mentioned it earlier, is the shortest sword in the Daisho set. A waza is a martial art technique. And finally, a yokai is a supernatural creature in Japanese folklore. And if you have an interest or if you are quite curious about yokai, stay tuned. The book I just finished writing is heavily focusing on this idea of yokai. So that's for the glossary of Undead Samurai. Now just a few names of characters to help you reading this book. I'm not going to name all the characters, that would be spoiling the story a little bit, so I'll just give you some of the names that come back fairly often from the beginning. And the first one is Nobunaga Oda. Another name we discover from the beginning is Yoshimoto Imagawa. And finally, for the prologue, Matsudaira Takechiyo. Now the 9 main characters that are going to try to save Japan against the swarm of kyonshi, or zombie, are in no particular order Ronin, Ikeda Tsuki and Ikeda Yuki, and they are accompanied by Ame. I named her Ame Suzuki, but the name Suzuki doesn't really show except at the beginning of her chapter. Then we have Kiba, Zenbo, Miyamoto Musashi, and Mikinosuke, and finally Tadatomo Honda. And to finish, the name of the places the characters go through in this book. Not all of them, just the 5 more important ones. So the first place would be Okehazama, then Jokoji. Third one is Gifu, then Sekigahara, and to finish, Azuchi. Alright, that's it. So this was a fairly long list of Japanese terms or names that you can encounter in Undead Samurai. Now don't worry if you're not very familiar with Japanese culture or history, I still believe you will be able to enjoy this book, and actually you might learn quite a lot, and I hope you will enjoy the story no matter what. That's it from me, guys. See you very soon. In the meantime, grab a book, possibly mine, and then enjoy. Bye.